everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy, your insider's guide to all things franchising in the local area. I'm Blake Martin, local small business franchise owner, and your Heartland Franchise Guy. This is the place for advocacy, resources, and education on all things franchising in the local area. And by the way, a great place for local entrepreneurs just looking to learn more about the franchising industry. Today, we have some guests from the Nebraska Business Development Center, Nbdc. And they're going to tell us a little bit about the services that they provide to aspiring and existing entrepreneurs of all stripes, franchised, local independent owners, folks who are buying businesses, and all of the above. So let me thank both of you, Kylie Phelps and Luis Franco, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yep.
And your official titles at Nbdc are?
Business consultants.
Business consultants.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Coaches and guidance and support to the clients that come in looking for business resources.
Yes.
We do whatever we can. So yes.
Speaking of whatever we can, tell us more on the assumption that some of our listeners have never even heard of Nbdc or the larger organization, the ASBDC.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit about what Nbdc does.
Okay, so we are a statewide platform. We are funded by the SBA, the U.S. Small Business Administration.
Yep.
We have 10 offices around the state, around Nebraska. We help, basically our services are to help small business owners, entrepreneurs, or even innovators through our 5 different sections, or if you want to call programs that we have. So we have a PTAC that is basically government contracts. PTAC, yeah.
Okay.
Procurement and Technical Assistance Center.
There you go. Yeah, government contracts. We have the FAST, that is Innovation Technology Assistance. We have the SourceLink Nebraska, that you had them here like a couple of months ago, this podcast. Mm-hmm. We have NU Connections, that is a platform where businesses and entrepreneurs can just meet there. And we have the SBDC, where Kylie and I work right now.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. You got that down.
Oh, yes. I did my homework. Yeah.
So the SBDC has a national footprint, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And Kylie, tell me a little bit about examples of specific things that you help business owners or aspiring business owners with on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis.
Yeah, so we provide one-on-one consulting services with the business owners or people who are looking to get started. And we do that through a variety of ways, like business planning, financial projections, so creating forecasts and looking at the numbers. And we also do a lot of secondary market research. So through our university system, we have access to a lot of databases and resources that are super helpful to small business owners. So.
Gotcha. Taking that a step further, what are the questions that a business owner or an entrepreneur, what are the questions that they're trying to get answered when they walk in your door or when they email or call you?
That's a really good question. So initially, they're like, okay, I have 10 goals for my business, but I don't know where to start. So they're like, okay, I am trying to get some funding. I don't know where to get these, business plans, financial projections. Sometimes they have experience in the industry. Sometimes they don't.
Right.
So what we do, we benchmark those numbers. We give them like more recommendations on how to start. We have some templates that can be really useful for the clients. Honestly, the questions are, okay, where do I start?
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have any other insights.
Where to start, kind of what to do, what's the progress. We try to provide like a roadmap for here's your starting point, here's what happens next, and then finally. And we're kind of there throughout the whole process.
Yeah, so if I'm understanding you correctly, the model of Nbdc is really predicated upon folks could be coming to us as the first resource they've used if they're planning a business or trying to do something new with their existing business. And I'm just trying to figure out what is next and what am I not asking.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and we usually get questions about clients who have been in business before, right, and wants to expand the business. And they're like, okay, these are my projections or my historicals. talking about financials, you know,
Right.
my cash flows, my income statements. And they're like, okay, if I want to expand, what will be my next step? So basically, we'll just walk them through a process of, okay, if you project your sales by 3% in the next 2 years, this is how much you will get in cash flows. So that's part of our job too.
Okay.
Yep.
Gotcha. And here's the big question. So how much does all of this cost?
It is all free. Well, mostly free. We have a couple of paid services like business evaluations, but most of the time it's free. So Luis mentioned that we're funded by the SBA. So your tax dollars have already paid for these services. So it's something that you should really take advantage of because you already paid for it. So when we set up a consultation meeting with you, there's going to be no charge to you. And anytime thereafter, it is going to be free.
I like free.
Oh, yeah.
Free is wonderful.
So it's literally our tax. Next time I want to complain about the government doesn't do anything good with my taxes, I should think about utilizing Nbdc services.
For sure. Yep.
There you go. Yes.
There's my money.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Can you talk to me a little bit about some of the services that you provide that people rarely think of, that people aren't aware? So you mentioned business valuations,
Yes.
right? Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so out in our Kearney office, we have a valuation expert. He's certified valuation. I don't remember the name of it.
Okay. Probably CVE.
Yes, certified valuation expert. And he provides business valuations for people wanting to buy their business or sell business. We have a free program called Buy Side. So if the buyer is requesting the business valuation, it is free. It's kind of like a mini valuation. I think it's only like 20 pages. And the full scale valuation is at cost. And it's more of like a 40-page in-depth document.
Gotcha. And then something else that one of you, I think, mentioned or referenced was market evaluations or market feasibility. Now, granted, a good percentage of the people that listen to this podcast may be analyzing or thinking about franchise opportunities, and so perhaps the need isn't as great there, but you're also working with folks who are thinking about doing their own thing or expanding their own thing.
Yes.
So is that why market feasibility studies come into play?
Yeah, so usually when we talk about market reports, our idea is just to give you some recommendations or probably insights of what's going on in the industry. So you can just get reports about demographics of your potential clients. You can see how many competitors around the area. You can see, if the profits are increasing or decreasing post-COVID. Everything has changed. So
Where does that data come from?
So we have, like Kylie said, we have access to a couple of platforms through the UNO.
Okay.
So we have IBIS report, we have BizMiner reports, so we can just access to them and we can just highlight some of the information to the clients, and that's really useful for them when you're just making the decision.
And some of them are localized reports, so we can actually use an address with their industry to find direct information about competitors
I see.
and potential customers.
Nice. So pinpoint.
Yes.
Yes.
To some extent, yeah. Good data in, good data out, right?
Yes. Yes.
You're seated within, as you said, University of Nebraska, Omaha.
Yes.
As are all of the small business development centers, SBDCs, all over the country, correct? Like you're housed within the university campuses typically?
Yes. In general, yes.
So there are SBDC offices all over the country in pretty much every state, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And most function and offer similar services?
Similar services. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Gotcha.
So yeah, it's really interesting.
Yeah. I asked that question because A, people who start a business around here may very well expand into other areas. And B, people who listen to this podcast sometimes are in different states or even countries.
Yes. And we have had clients who are just in between two states. I had a client who was thinking about starting a business here in Nebraska or going to Florida.
Yeah.
So we made the connection with the Florida SBDC.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. So you are snowbird friendly.
We are, yes.
Not that you want business owners who are
competitors.
moving away from the business all the time, but I guess if part of their growth plan
It
is
is.
I want to be able to take more time. Yeah.
Yep.
How do people get a hold of you? Like, so if they're thinking, I want to start a business or have an existing business and I want to focus on growth, what's the best way to get a hold of the NBDC?
Our website is nbdc.unomaha.edu.
Gotcha.
And it lists all of the consultants' contact information, email address, phone numbers. So if you are out in Chadron or Lincoln, you can find the correct consultant to best meet your needs.
You just did it to yourself. You're on the spot for the next question. What are all the, do you have them memorized, all the locations within the state of Nebraska?
Some of them. We have places out in McCook, Lincoln,
you've got the
Norfolk.
booklet.
We
There
have
you
the
go.
booklet.
It's an open book test. It's always an open book test.
Life is an open book test. So Chadron, Grand Island, Kearney, Lincoln, McCook, Norfolk, North Platte, Omaha, Scottsbluff, and Wayne.
Yeah. And within the region, there's a bunch of locations in Iowa, in the Dakotas, in Kansas, et cetera. Yeah. There's probably one within a short driving distance and certainly one within a Zooming distance, right?
Yes.
Do you guys do stuff virtual?
Yes. So we are working hybridly. So sometimes we work from home, sometimes we're in the office. And
Practice what you preach.
Yep. The university has opened up like the mask mandate recently. So we have just gotten back to having in-person meetings. So we give our clients the option. If they would rather meet in person, we can do that. And we also have the flexibility to meet over Zoom.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and with the Zoom stuff, we have seen for the last 2 years, sometimes clients, they have a full-time job. And they don't have the time just to come to the office, have a meeting with us for 1 hour probably, or 1 hour and a half. So they're like, okay, if you have the options to offer like a Zoom meeting or a Zoom call, that will be really useful for them. So they don't have the driving distance,
Sure.
And that's what they really like about the services too.
Tell me a little bit more about financial projections. Where do you come in to the process with most of your clients?
Okay, so
and why? Why are they looking for their financial forecasts?
Okay, so when you are starting your business, you have a couple of options. You can go to a lender just to get any funding, or you can go to investors. Usually those two options that will ask you for some financials, because the numbers will be information for them in order to decide to invest or not. So with the financials, what you have to do is just think about your sales. So how your sales will look like for the first year, your main expenses, your variable costs, your fixed expenses, also your payroll, and some assets, your capital expenditures.
Right.
So what we do, we provide with some templates. So what you can do is just, okay, this is what I have. Sometimes clients, they have like a Word document with their main expenses and the startup expenses. So we give them like some resources that they can just use. And after we work with the templates, we project those sales or those expenses. At the end, what you will have is 3 years financial projections with the income statement, cash flows, and the balance sheet.
Yeah.
And we benchmark those numbers. We compare with the industry.
Okay.
So before going to the bank, you will have the whole background of how the industry looks like.
You're getting them ready to have a successful meeting with the lender.
Yes, because the lender will also do their own version of benchmarking. So if we do it prior to that, it kind of gets them closer to the yes.
Well, and it shows the lender that they're taking this process seriously, right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So you must be using specific forecasting software, plugging their raw data, their numbers into that software?
Yep. So we have our templates. So it's just on Excel that we use. It's pretty
Even less
user-friendly.
intimidating.
Yes. We try to break it down so that the numbers aren't as intimidating. And then we just kind of do some work on our end to make those financial statements and then do the benchmarking.
Gotcha. What else should we know about NBDC?
Well, there are a couple of things that clients or potential clients should know. We offer services in Spanish now, so we have 2 consultants who are Spanish speakers, including myself. So what we're doing right now is expanding our services, exploring more areas. I know that the Latinos population is increasing right now. We are talking about 13 or 14% of the population in Nebraska. So usually clients are really like scared about sharing their information, or they see a language barrier, talking about English and Spanish.
Yeah.
So what we're doing right now is just trying to interact with those clients, be like, okay, make the connections. Okay, if you want to do this, I can help you. I can be your translator. And that's how we work now. So that's additional resources that we are offering. Spanish
nice.
services. Yep.
Yeah, and really far more approachable for somebody
Sure.
who's
Yes.
got all the business sense, but maybe a little hesitant.
And sometimes they have many years of experience. Talking about more like 20 years of experiences, but they have this language barrier. So we are just helping them now.
And you're bilingual, originally from Ecuador, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, I'm from Ecuador. So I came here in 2019. So 3 years now in Omaha.
And what were you doing in Ecuador?
So my background is more into the retail industry. I work in the accounting, payroll, and also the fund financing areas of a huge retailer back home. I also have some experience in restaurants. So my mom used to own a restaurant for 5 years. So I just providing support, like daily support in the operations.
Sure. So you know what it's like to be part of an entrepreneurial family.
I know that, yes.
All the fun times.
It's stressful, yes, I know.
Yeah. Particularly with the restaurant. So
it's a highly competitive industry.
Yeah. Do you like the beaches in Omaha more than the beaches in Ecuador?
I don't. I gotta be honest with you. No.
That was an honesty check there.
Yeah. There you go.
And Kylie, a little bit on your background.
Yeah, so I studied supply chain at UNO and international business, and then I worked in purchasing before I came to the Nbdc. So what a time to be studying supply chain management with all that's going on in the world.
No kidding.
That was a very perspective moment for me to see how to solve all of these problems when the world is having issues with their supply chains. So.
Well, let's talk about this. What is the solution, Kylie?
Oh, I don't know yet.
To global supply chain management.
I haven't gotten that far yet.
Okay, fair enough. What else? Other services? Is there formalized mentoring that is a part of NBD services, or is NBDC, excuse me? Is that something that you collaborate with groups like SCORE and...
Yes, so we use a lot of resource partners. Like SCORE is one that we refer clients to a lot of times. People can work conjunctively with the SCORE mentor. So if they are working with SCORE on something, they can also work with the NBDC on something as well. We use a lot of referral sources. So like SourceLink is a great place to find those resources. We just try to give people the most resources that they can. And we kind of try to point them in what direction they need to go in.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Sometimes we just make the connections.
Right.
And the referrals. Yeah.
Best thing you can do is just get them to the right person,
Yes.
the right organization. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense.
It does.
What are your goals? Meaning with particular centers. So do you know how many small business development centers there are around the country?
That's a really good question. I know that every state has at least one center.
Yeah.
So you have the bigger ones like California. They have more than one for sure. So I'm not sure of how many there are, but every single state has at least one.
Yeah. Probably a few hundred. Right?
Probably.
I would guess so.
Yes.
And are there common goals or common initiatives that every business development center is responsible for?
Yes. So going back to how we are funded, so since the SBA funds our services, we kind of try to prove to them that we are doing good with the funding that they are providing us. So we collect a couple of pieces of information from business owners like startups. We collect capital infusion, so like loans and equity. We also measure employees, so we can show our economic impact of the clients that we are helping, and then we get to keep helping other businesses in the future.
Yeah. So it's economic impact overall is one of the key metrics.
Yes.
Makes sense. Are there any businesses in local markets that aren't a good fit for NBDC services?
Our one limitation is nonprofits.
Okay.
So other than that, we help with pretty much any business from services like hair salons or home remodelings all the way to physical products like barbecue sauce or even those restaurants. So we help a wide variety across all industries.
Yeah, different backgrounds. You have food trucks, you have real estate, you have construction services. I think we cover pretty much everything, but nonprofits.
Yeah. So if you're a for-profit business of any kind or any size, there may very well be a service
Yep.
I've always looked at it as, I mean, needless to say, I've worked with NBDC. I've always looked at it as, what are the gaps you have in your business, or the gaps that you have in your plan for your new business, and let's see if it can be filled in some way by NBDC or one of the service partners that you work with.
Yes, because we help with everything from people just having an idea to the business plan and having that meeting with the bank, to growing and expanding their business, and like the exit planning like we mentioned. So we are really here to help you in any timeline that you are at. We have services to help with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Speaking of any timeline, in this current time, kind of, sort of coming out of COVID, I think, and, going into this new marketplace with supply chain challenges, et cetera, are there particular services or areas of advice that you're getting more questions about right now, or more requests for?
I could say that people are looking for loans. So when you're talking about loans, financial projections could be one of the most demanded services.
Right. Yeah.
So projecting your, like I told
So
you
somebody
before,
is looking for an idle loan?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, or PPP before, but now it's just more commercial loans probably. So thinking about your projections, we have a lot of clients asking for projections for the next 5 years, 3 years. Well, it depends on the banker.
Okay.
Yeah.
In specific industries, I would say there have been a lot of e-commerce based businesses, a lot of people wanting to run their business out of their homes, sell online, just because, with what happened during the pandemic, people, it's kind of risky. People see it as risky now. So
I can understand that.
Yeah.
If somebody has an advisor, an accountant, a bookkeeper, are you able to work with them in conjunction with the client?
Sure. So usually they have some reports that we can just get from them. Usually they have the cash flows, or they have the income statement. So usually we get those reports and we take them as the projections base, and then we just make assumptions with the client. So yeah, that's really useful. Whenever you can just track your numbers, it's super important for your expansion.
Gotcha. Thanks for enlightening me on that one. And again, what are the costs for most of Nebraska Business Development Center services?
it's free.
It's free. It's
Yeah.
our tax dollars put to good use.
Absolutely.
As we wrap up here, one more reminder on the best way to get a hold of the NBDC.
So our website is nbdc.unomaha.edu. And it will have all of the centers, the Omaha Center, the Lincoln Center, the McCook Center, and the consultants in that area, that you can find the email address and phone number of the specific consultant who could help you.
And the email address is nbdc@unomaha.edu.
Okay. So
Yes.
same thing as the website, just NBDC. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you both so much for sharing a little bit more about the services and assistance that's offered by Nebraska Business Development Center. Appreciate
Thanks,
that
Blake,
very
for
much.
having us. Yeah, sure. It was
thank you.
exciting.
You bet. And thanks to all of you for joining us on another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy. Remember to share, subscribe, and comment on us, and give us feedback on what you like the most in our content. Look forward to seeing you again on another episode of the Heartland Franchise Guy.